Jess, welcome to the Grin Gets Real podcast for the special customer spotlight episode. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I know. Well, so let's get the ball rolling. You are here from Osmo Salt. So tell me, who is Osmo Salt and how did you guys get started?
Love that. So Osmo Salt, we are a cooking and premium finishing salt company. We were founded back in July of 2021 by Nick DiGiovanni and two other co-founders. We're a very small company, but our main goal is really just getting into people's kitchens and really valuing the fact that anyone can cook with a very small amount of things in your spice rack.
So tell me about your why. Why even do this? Why even get into salt? It seems very niche.
It is very niche, but Nick being who he was, he studied food science and climate at Harvard. He always found a love for cooking, and then he created his venture by starting out on MasterChef season 10. He was in the top 3. Salt is in everything, as everybody knows that too. And the fact of having something that already has the seasoning in it or the flavor in it, or just picking one thing off your spice rack and being like, I don't need to have oregano or thyme or sriracha or any of these things. It's already in the salt. And that was like the main thing that we wanted to create.
So you guys have just a variety of different salts that have different herbs infused. Am I using the right language?
Kind of. I mean, it's totally fine. So like, for example, we have a flaky sriracha salt. We have a roasted garlic salt. We have an applewood smoked salt. And a lot of grillers, like the big time people, love to buy applewood specifically for their grill. And with this, you get the same flavor with just the jar of salt.
Oh, I love it. That sounds delicious. It's kind of making me want chips and salsa. So you've just described Osmo Salt. Osmo Salt, your brand. Let's dive into a little bit of just kind of your customer. I just said that I was craving chips and salsa, but like, how does salt fit into like your customer's lifestyle?
I love that. Yeah. Like I said, salt goes on everything. And like being in the kitchen, if you go into someone's kitchen, there is always salt there.
Yep.
It doesn't matter the shape or size, but I feel like everyone always recognizes salt by like, you go out to dinner and you see like that little gross shaker that's been on the counter forever. And you don't know how long it's been there, but it just looks beat up. But we really wanted to take on like that luxe vibe of like being in your kitchen. Like you want to keep it out on your counter. You don't want to put it away because it looks so beautiful. It's like black, it's sleek, it's metallic. And we have these incredible like rechargeable grinders that you can keep out too. You just have to like push a button and it goes. And we just wanted to be able to like bring the whole family together in the kitchen, enable people to like try new recipes, try new things, and be able to cook together. Because that's like the most important part about like being in the kitchen.
Yeah, I was going to say it's got to open up the world for maybe people who have picky eaters in their family as well too. Salt seems very easy thing to introduce to the palate. Like just put a little bit of salt on it. Maybe it has an additional flavor that really, knocks it out of the park, which I think like even talking about the lifestyle and what it is that you guys are trying to achieve, I think it is a product that definitely should be living in like this influencer marketing in this creator world. So tell me, how do you find or how do you use that kind of ethos of like how you want to fit into the lifestyle of someone? How do you use that to find that right creator for Osmo?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I mean, we have a very large array of creators because, and I'll repeat myself this whole podcast, everyone uses salt. Like totally understandable that like our salt is a little bit more expensive and a little bit more luxe. We have creators age ranging from like 13 to 50, maybe older actually. I'm going to go with 70s. But yeah, it's definitely like a larger demographic where we're testing out new creators all the time. Some of our highest performers are like fitness influencers and they cook all the time, but it's more of like that like this salt only has one ingredient and there's no junk. So you don't have to worry about it. And it works really well for that whole demographic of people purchasing the product. And then we have our chefs, we have our young chefs, and it's really just finding, because we're only like a year and a half old, if that. So finding those like niche little markets that we can get into and finding like the exact customer that we really want to pinpoint.
I love that you said fitness influencers, because as soon as you said that, I thought, well, of course, that totally makes sense. They eat a lot of chicken and vegetables, right? And but it's all steamed. Like I want to add a little bit of flavor, and it probably punches up something that is normally a little bland. And this is coming from someone who eats a lot of chicken.
That's okay. You need salt. I mean, if you get dehydrated, you're working out, you're not going to put it in your water all the time. That's lame.
No, I don't even know that do people put salt in their water?
Oh yeah, big time. Look up like adrenal cocktails and you'll find salt in water or things like that. You'll see lemon water with salt.
Don't mind me as I'm typing away looking on Pinterest. So you said that you guys are about a year and a half old. Have you always worked with creators and influencers during that entire time? Like where are you guys at in just kind of the development of your program? And I know that you also have a background in working with creators and influencers. So tell me a little bit about like where you guys started with influencers.
Yeah, for sure. So previously to Osmo Salt, I was at a different company with a large scale influencer program. We had about 600. And there was a point where there were 5 of us as influencer managers working on that, where we each had about 125, very manageable. And then it decreased to about like 1 to 2 people working with 600 plus influencers. So Osmo is complete opposite of that. When I first came on board back in April, they weren't even a year old yet. They were really focusing on their 6 partners that they had brought on based on relationships with Nick. So names being like The Golden Balance, Cooking with Linja, QCP, Jack Arnold, like really big, Max the Meat Guy. These are more on like the celebrity chef-esque kind of vibe almost, but mostly on Instagram. And they're all brand partners. So they've been working with them for a long period of time. And that's kind of why Osmo has really blown up and taken over like the internet in the salt world, like in cooking world. You see it everywhere now, especially with those creators. And for me, when I was onboarded, my goal was to create an actual influencer program. So not as long with the partners, but an actual influencer program. We're at almost about like 40 creators now. I'm all about that slow growth model. I never want to just like quantity. I want the quality influencers. I want to be able to make a connection with them. Is this someone that I could sit and have a beer with? That kind of vibe. Yeah. Like I really want to be sure that I'm nurturing and creating relationships with people who really also care about this very small company, because right now, like budgets are low. We're not able to pay like big time influencers, like tens of thousands of dollars to like create one piece of content where we're not really sure if it's actually going to generate sales for us at the end of the day. And that's why like brand awareness right now and finding people who really love Osmo is really our goal.
Now, why do you take the approach of less is more as far as like how many creators you want to add into your program? Because, and mind you, I completely stand behind that. And, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, totally. Like I said, too, like relationships are everything. Like these creators are human beings. They're not just like powerhouses, like throwing out content. And to be honest, like I make content. I know how much it takes to put into a piece of content. It's a lot. And brands that aren't able to pay like these influencers to do this content, it's definitely tough. And at the end of the day, these influencers, it goes hand in hand. They need to be able to find the brands that they actually love and want to nurture a relationship with. Because for me, if I was an influencer, I would want to find a brand that really aligns with me. So that way, when people think of me, they think of that brand and vice versa.
Yeah.
So kind of creating that back and forth between like me and those influencers that I'm onboarding. I want to be sure it's authentic. I want to be sure that they really do love Osmo and see themselves growing with us as a company.
So that sounds like it's a lot of conversation in order to build out that relationship. What do you use before you even get to having that conversation? What kind of qualitative and quantitative metrics are you kind of looking for before you're like, all right, I do want to reach out to this person?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not really that influencer manager who's going to see paid partnership on someone's page and like be like, yeah, I'm totally going to reach out to them.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of paid partnerships. I really enjoy finding people whose content is like not sneaky, but it's simple. It's like they're showing a day in the life and they're real and they're easily mixing in these brands because it's natural.
Yeah.
That's like really what I look for when I'm looking for a creator. I can't see like the sales that they're doing for other brands, but I can see like the views, I can see the engagements. I really look for influencers who are actually communicating with their community. So if they're commenting back to people, that kind of thing. Like you really just want to see that they're able to nurture their community and that they would want to do the same for you.
Absolutely. They end up being your brand story terrors,
Totally.
not terrors. Tellers. Yeah, terrors. Oh my gosh. We're recording this in the afternoon. My tongue is a little tied at this point. But yeah, they do end up being just kind of your storytellers in general. So you want to make sure that they're bought in and that they can speak about Osmo in the same way that you would, knowing the ins and outs of that. And you can't get that with like, hey, here's some salt, like product placement. Like that's why brand ads aren't as successful as creator ads, right?
And with that too, like having these creators, like a lot of them have reached out to us or have used the product prior. Like I don't really look for giving someone a code that's never used the product, never posted about us. Cause like I said, it's really not authentic. And I personally, as a consumer, wouldn't purchase from someone like that.
That completely makes sense. Now, in regards to your program, I don't want to ask you to break down the structure, but I do want to ask, is it product gifting? Is it commission? Is it flat fee paid partnership? Or is it a combination of all three things?
Yeah, I love that. So since we're new, like I said, too, we do a lot of product gifting and commission structure. So affiliate, and our influencers and our people that are joined in like really know like that's what we have to do right now until we're able to work up to doing more flat rate opportunities, and they're open to it. So I'm 100% transparent. I've set goals with them and intentions to like be able to do more flat rate opportunities with them once they do hit a certain mark. But we really do need to see like that revenue coming in if we are going to be doing any flat rate things. And I know that's like not what every influencer wants to hear. Like they're putting so much time and effort into creating this content. Like I want to be able to give them what they deserve. But with these smaller brands, it's really, like I said, like you want to find those people that are willing to put in the time because they know that it will be beneficial for them at the end of the day.
Do you find that you have to do a lot of negotiating because you guys are developing your brand and connecting with influencers? So like is there a lot of back and forth and having you being in the position where you have to explain like, hey, I'm not going to pay you that because of XYZ?
So I'll use one example, but to answer your question, no. If anyone tries to negotiate or is looking for a flat rate deal, I'm very open and transparent with them that that's really not the type of creator that I'm looking for, and that they should definitely like be looking into like other brands that can afford that. For me, like one of my very big like partners that I love to work with, gave me the opportunity to do one piece of flat rate content with them at a very discounted rate. It was just for a test. We really wanted to see if it worked. And they were so open to doing it for us at a very discounted rate because they wanted to be able to like prove that like flat rate does well. At the end of the day, it wasn't like the best option for us, but it was something that was really cool to test and so great to see like the fact that that relationship was the reason why they were offering to do something at a discounted rate because they believe in the brand and they trust me. And at the end of the day, that's all I can ask for.
That is all that you can ask for. And it speaks volumes, again, about the relationship that you're trying to establish with them. Now,
100%.
you said that you're working with about 50 creators and influencers. Tell me a little bit about what your creator mix is. I know that there are a lot of brands that see a lot of success with micro and nano influencers, especially for kind of more of those bottom of the funnel, you know, conversions that you're looking for. But I also know that you're trying to do brand awareness as well too. So are you looking for macro, micro? Is it a combination? Do you have a sweet spot yet?
I love that. And it's funny too, because like a lot of people think using a micro influencer for brand awareness is the goal. To be honest, micro influencers are usually the ones that bring in the big bucks. And it's because they have the small, tight knit communities that trust them. For us at Osmo, like I said before, we do have like the partnerships that Nick has created with Osmo and like some of the larger creators. So they still do stuff for us often. We definitely have some that like thread the needle a little bit more than others. But I would say like we definitely have a big mix, because I have people who reach out to me all the time and they've been using Osmo forever. Like our range of people following like these creators could be anywhere from like 2,000 all the way up to like 5 million. So we have a huge range and they're all different in their own special way. But it's still really great to like not compare, but like contrast the content and like see what really works with their audience, what their audience demographic is. Like, is it more moms? Is it more like young kids? Cause like Nick, for example, being like on MasterChef and things like that, has a large range of kids age ranging from like 13 to 20 that like love him. To be honest, sorry to all the moms and dads out there, but your kids are probably going to be asking for Osmo for Christmas. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to happen. It's so
you
crazy.
Made it then. You have made it then. This is stocking stuffer.
Santa is bringing Osmo. But yeah, it is insane. Like so crazy. But it's crazy to see like what these creators can do and what they can like what type of demographic they bring in based off of just going towards like a child, and then the child tells their parent and the parent knows about it. So it's kind of cool.
That's true. I mean, like, I'll be honest. Well, Osmo is not my example, but I was going to say my son asked me for, this is going to sound so silly, but he asked me for honey mustard. And I was like, I didn't even know that you liked honey mustard. And instead, I have like 12,000 yellow mustards, but he wanted honey mustard. And I bought it. And now it's like that regular staple, you know. I think, you know, especially when it comes to kids, you're always trying to refine their palate too. So if they gravitate towards something that's a little bit out of like the mac and cheese and chicken nugget zone, you're like, oh, hell yes. Let's make that happen. So I can absolutely see that. You know, you heard it here first, folks. Stocking stuffers, salt shakers, grinders, the whole 9 yards.
So good. So good.
Now, do you repurpose the content that you're getting from these creators? And if you do, how do you repurpose it?
All the time. A lot of these creators are really, really great about sending me a WeTransfer, sending me through like Google Drive, sending it through DM, just making sure that I know that their content's posted. And obviously like through Grin, like they're able to check off that we're able to use it for ads or things like that.
Yeah.
So it's really great. We've been testing a lot of ads on TikTok. We repurpose like on our own Instagram page. And I feel like we've really been focusing on TikTok right now. So it's really nice to have all of these creators creating content for us that can be repurposed on our Instagram feed, which is like kind of the main goal right now.
Now, do you find that you are asking for or receiving more video than like static post content?
Totally. I can't even remember the last time I received a picture. Video and reels is like 100% the main thing, especially in cooking, just because like people want to see like, well, that's a lie. I've definitely had like a couple pictures, but they're probably more along the lines of like the chefs that are like more restaurant style. And then like the at-home chefs are the ones that are like going to town with like the sick grill content or like really like there's one creator who makes this like beautiful like pastas and like capreses, and she's so good with like the different products and like showing them in different ways. But I send out monthly emails as well with like what products we want to like really focus on, like what's out of stock, things like that, just so we can like get things that we need. And it's been so cool seeing what they do.
You totally sparked a completely different path of
I
a
love
question
that.
because, we were talking about just relationships in general. And you just said that you send out an email of like, hey, these are the things that we want to concentrate. What kind of other things do you do to help sort of foster more of like that community amongst the creators that you have?
I love that. So yeah, like I said, monthly email, sometimes bi-weekly,
Yeah.
just to stay in touch. And I try to get them to like respond to me but they're busy people.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, this sounds funny. What will get them to respond to me? But no, so like I'll do that. I've created like an Instagram group for them to like connect with each other,
Nice.
but I'll only like add them if they ask me to. I never want to put, especially if there's like a micro influencer and then someone who has like millions of followers, like I don't want them getting spammed with DMs all day.
Yeah.
So it's only if they ask. And then I do like surveys randomly too. I've done one. I need to do a couple more, but just to make sure that like I'm doing a good job. And if there's like any input that they have for me on like, because honestly, they probably see more. They're working with multiple brands.
Yeah.
They see everything. So like they can give me feedback based on what they want to see with the program.
I love it.
It's a win-win.
I love that. Now, what would you say is kind of the key to managing a successful influencer marketing program or working with creators in general? I'm sure that there's not just one thing, but I'd love to hear your high level, like, folks, you heard it here first again.
Grin. No, I'm kidding. But no, I love Grin so much.
I'll take the plug.
No, honestly, at the end of the day, it's just who is managing your influencer marketing program is the number one like factor of like if it's going to perform. I mean, they need to be the one that's like making the relationships, not really being the face of the brand unless they're in the content, but being the face of the brand to your influencers. Like they're talking to them every single day. They're checking in. They need to be able to like ask them questions and like, I don't know, really create that like bond between the brand and them. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have a person managing it, there's nothing there for them. They want that human connection and that brand connection, but it's still not there without a person. So if you don't have someone running your program that can handle like really creating and manifesting those relationships with these people, it's just not going to work.
Okay. I'm obsessed with the fact that you said that because I think that most people, when you ask them that question, they think of something very tactical, right? Like I need the right program or workflow, or I need to find 1,000 creators. That's the key to success. But, I think it's really saying something when you talk about like, who is that person that's trying to make that connection? Because it is about the right person in the right seat in order for that to be successful. So I love that you stated that. Now, what kind of value would you say creators have really brought to the brand?
Oh my God, everything. If we didn't have these creators, we would have zero brand awareness because it would just be from like me posting TikToks on the Osmo account. And they'd be like, we want Nick. But I mean, Nick does such an incredible job too of like mixing Osmo into pretty much every video that he creates. And it's so like sly, like it's just in there. Like he's just like pinch of salt. Like everyone recognizes Osmo and Nick now. Like the brand awareness factor from all these creators is so genuine and unique. Like, and I've talked about this guy before too, but like QCP, I could never tell him how to create his content because it's so funny and like vulgar and hilarious. But he still includes Osmo, and people now know like if you see QCP, you see Osmo in a video because he's salting his pasta water. So like the full on brand awareness factor of everything is just like because of these creators. Like it's why it's everywhere.
Yeah. That's so true. And you, again, you've had experience working with creators before. So I'm interested to hear like what kind of evolution have you seen with working with creators from when you first started to where you're at now in your career with Osmo?
Yeah. Wow. When I first started, it was like back in like the midst of the pandemic. And I feel like we definitely had like a lot of influencers and people that were out there as like content creators or just like I feel like people kind of found their niche. Like people have really found their niche over the past few years. Like whether it's a video, whether it's a photo, like you're sticking to it. Whether someone's on TikTok or Instagram, they're not really doing both anymore. No
Yeah.
one's trying to balance both. Like if you find a creator on TikTok, sometimes you go to their Instagram and it's like their normal life. Like you're like, whoa, what did I just tap into?
These are two totally different
Yeah.
versions, right?
It's so true. So I feel like people have really like started to concentrate on like one platform and like really put their all into something. And they're really known for that.
Yeah.
Back when I was starting out, I feel like people were kind of just trying to do it all and it didn't work. Like you needed to like really like that whole quote, like master of one or whatnot. But wanting to be a master of just one. So that way you can actually produce the content, because the people who are really good at Instagram and creating like those beautiful reels are not going to be as successful on TikTok. It's two totally different platforms, and finding that as a creator was like the main thing. And also like as an influencer manager, finding out what they did best and like offering them that feedback and being like, well, we know you're really good at like posting on Instagram and like these are amazing reels and we want to see them, but your TikTok content is really performing as well. So I feel like these creators have kind of taken the feedback that they've got from brands in those like brand deals and kind of found what works for them.
Well, I also think it's so time consuming, I think there are a lot of brands that miss that, like, it is time consuming, which is why I had asked you, like, are you getting more videos than you are those static pictures? Because the videos, just to do one and then to edit it, I'm sure that they get faster than I am. So I'm not a fast video editor because there's so many different applications that are available now, but it's still very time consuming. So can you imagine if, you created a TikTok and had to then be creative and think like, is it going to be the same for reels? And now I'm going to have to edit it completely different. Like there are two totally different beasts. I'm glad I'm on the software side of things. Well, because it's so labor intensive. It's insane.
It is. And a lot of these creators, I mean, the big ones have teams to like help them or like video editors, but like these like micro influencers, like they're doing it all on their own.
Yeah.
Like there is just, honestly, power to them. Seriously. They're crushing it.
Absolutely. What you were talking about, having them have like a totally different life on Instagram versus TikTok. It reminds me of, I'm sure you've seen this TikTok where I don't know what the audio is, but it's like the version that work sees you, the version your family sees you, and the version your friend sees you. I feel like that's so true on the different social platforms, right?
So true. So true. I love that.
Now, what is kind of the value of having those long-term relationships that you were talking about with an influencer? Why are you an advocate for that?
Oh my God, I love that question so much. So when I was at the brand that I was at previously, like I made sure that whoever was in like my campaigns, like when I first started, I only had about 120 influencers that I built it up to. And then we kind of had to like recalibrate as people left the company. But my like 120 influencers that I worked with, like I still talk to like handfuls of them now. They kept in touch. They followed me on Instagram. Like they still like know what's going on with my life. Like when they found out I started working at Osmo, they were like, oh my God, that's so great. Like can't wait to try the product. Yeah. And like, I've definitely like brought a couple of them over with me because like health and wellness and food like go hand in hand. Like, and so even like that, like finding these incredible partners that you worked with at another brand and like being able to like nourish them in another brand, even though it's not like a competitor, it's great. It's just, it always works in your favor to be able to like nourish those relationships. And not only like in the brand spectrum, but like in friend, like maybe one day you're like trying to work at a company somewhere else and like this like influencer has a connect and they're like, oh my God, please let me know how I can like help you get in there. Like, I love that brand. I've been working with them forever. It's like, you never know.
you're tapping into a friend, not
Yes, they're
just
human.
a creator, right? Yeah. It
Totally.
goes a long way. It's why I can hang up on telemarketers, but I can't hang up on my mom. I'm not saying you have to
So,
have like the mom daughter relationship. It doesn't
mhm.
have to go that deep.
No, I know what you mean.
Like a fun aunt, maybe.
Yes. I That's so funny you said that. I totally lied before about the age range. We have a 2-year old who cooks with Osmo, and they call me Auntie Jess whenever they email me, and it's actually
Oh,
hilarious.
that's so cute. That is so
It's
cute.
so cute. Her name's Gemma. Look her up on our page. She's like the cutest little kid. Her and her parents crush it in the kitchen. They're
That's
so cute.
amazing. So, how do you define success when working with influencers? And I always think that this question is really interesting because honestly, the knee jerk is always like conversions, bottom of the funnel. I've
Mm,
sold more. We obviously all are here to sell. But when it
mhm.
comes to influencer marketing, I think that there's a bigger picture. So, I'm always curious, how are you defining success? Like, yes, my program is working.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, for me, I mean, obviously, like you said, everyone's excited about sales, everybody's excited about revenue. But for
Yeah.
me, I'll keep hitting this on the head. Brand awareness is like
Hmm.
everything for us, especially as a new company. I mean, like, there are very massive influencers that we work with that get hundreds of thousands, millions of views. And to me, my number one thing that I look for is when I see a post that an influencer has put up and it's doing really well, I look at the comments, I see who's asking about Osmo, and I respond to every single one of them that is
Love
asking,
that.
where is this salt from? Where did you get that? The other day, I sent product to, she's not even one of our influencers, but she makes incredible cakes in Los Angeles. I bake mistakes. Look her up. Her TikTok's incredible. But I sent her a bunch of salt. She used black flaky on cookies and it has like over 4 million views. People were asking
That's
about it
insane.
like every time. So like all these people are asking about the black flaky salt and I'm like, let's go. Get in the comments. We sold like 60 pumpkin salts that are no longer in stock. Sorry, everyone. But because of like an influencer that we have that posted about a pumpkin coffee. And I went in every single comment and told them that it was back in stock for them, just for like 60 of them. It's crazy. You never know like how much the power of a comment is.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good hack too. So I hope
Mhm.
everybody who's listening has taken the time to write that down
Yeah.
because that is a really good hack.
Yeah.
So I've got one final question for you. How do you measure the value of influencer marketing in general?
Oh man, measure the value. That's such a
Mm-hmm.
tough one. Oh, I'm just going to keep saying it like influencer relationships. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many influencers you have in your grid campaign. It matters like how many influencers will respond to your emails, how many influencers respond to your DMs, how many influencers trust you, send you their content, ask your
Mm-hmm.
opinion on things because they care and like they really want to do well for your brand and for you. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't have an influencer manager like working with these incredible creators,
Yeah.
like you wouldn't have that communication back and forth. And why should they post about your brand at the end of the day if they're not getting that like compliments in return or like you're doing such an amazing job or just like sharing their content? It's they just at the end of the day they just want people to see their incredible content that they're doing, and that to me is like so much added value from the fact that like they're being able to put their concept out that they've worked so hard on. And these brands, regardless of if they tag you, regardless of if they work with you, like you're able to reshare it for them, no matter how big or small the brand is.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think, when it comes to influencers and creators, what they're doing is they're building that brand equity for you. It's the conversations that
Yes.
happen offline that you don't even know, that you
Yes.
kind of almost have to just continuously look at your website. Your traffic is just going to go up. And that is that brand
Mm-hmm.
awareness that you're talking about, right? Like if I get more direct traffic, yes. More organic
Mm-hmm.
traffic, yes. If I got more, social followers, yes. Like more, you've got Osmo in the hands of many and then in front of the eyeballs as well too.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're not going to be able to track where it's all from. Like word of mouth marketing is
Mm-hmm.
still like everything. Like someone could post like the most incredible cooking video and not tag Osmo, and they could get 5, 10, 15 million views and I wouldn't know about it. But it'd be because traffic is going up. Then I'm like, something must have happened.
Yeah.
Something
Someone used
happened.
it. Someone used it somewhere. That's amazing.
So it's crazy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here for our customer spotlight and sharing the Osmo story and also sharing your expertise. I appreciate you so much.